part I could not record. Anyways, shall continue. So this is the method that is used for non-coherent detection of FSK. So we have also said in the beginning of FSK that the minimum tone separation, minimum frequency separation between the two FSK carriers, it should be at least the difference between omega I plus 1 minus omega I should be at least pi by t. So we are going to see and look at why it should be so, why it should be, the minimum spacing should be 1 by t. The reason is that, let us suppose, I will take one example now. I have one of the carrier frequency being chosen as F1, I choose it as 10,000 hertz. This is for just an example. F2 I consider it to be 11,000 information. Okay. Now, how do you convey, how do you say that these two frequencies are orthogonal to each other? Because FSK needs a system of carriers which are orthogonal to each other, which is very necessary, because I should not confuse between the transmission of symbols. If they are going to be non-orthogonal, then it is going to be the output of one will depend on the other, which will become a very complex scenario. Of course, there are non-orthogonal modulation techniques also. I am not saying no, but the analysis will be slightly different. So when I say orthogonal, the carrier should not be dependent on each other. Therefore, in order to say that F1 and F2 are independent of each other, can I say that 10K is independent of 11K? Do I have enough information to say so? No, I can't say directly just by looking at the information like this. I cannot say that this particular frequencies are orthogonal to each other. So what do I do whenever I have to decide upon minimum to say that the two frequencies that I am choosing are orthogonal to each other? One thing I need to make sure is, while transmitting the information cos 2 pi f1t, it will definitely undergo the process of pulse shaping. Whatever the modulation technique you take, before the carrier will be added, it will undergo pulse shaping. So therefore assume that I have made it to undergo the rectangular filter shaping with the function rect means it is a rectangular function t by capital T. So this is the method, or this is the pulse shaping method that we use while we transmit the symbol information along with the carrier into the channel. This will ensure that there is no ISI. This will necessarily address ISI, and it will also take care of, there will be no requirement of sharp transition filters. So therefore I can make use of pulse shaping filters, where the rectangular filter will be used for a duration minus t by 2 to plus t by 2. Okay, so it will have this as the transfer function. When I take the Fourier representation of this SI of t, the SI of t, cos can be represented as e to the power j 2 pi f1t fit plus cos plus e raised to minus j 2 pi fit whole divided by 2, which we already know. That means the rectangular function I already have a sinc function. I know I would get a sinc function. Since it is multiplied by the exponential functions, it is just frequency shifting operation will take place. So the resultant of the Fourier representation of this symbol will look like t into sinc of f minus fi into the symbol duration capital T. So this is how the Fourier representation of the symbol that you are transmitting would look like. What is important to know here is, since I am making use of the rectangular functions in time domain, its frequency representation would be sinc. That means I will plot them on the frequency band Are you able to see this? Let me write it on the other side. And just to erase this part, just erase this part and write it at the top. So if I draw the spectrum of the transmitted information, it will look like this. One of the, let me not write it as 0. One of the information, let's say I consider symbol S1, will have one of the sync pulse which is like this. That means it is centered around F1 and it will have a sync representation. Okay, consider this as frequency F1. Now, how to fix up the next frequency F2 is, we need to fix up or choose the F2 frequency in such a way that the F2 peak, the peak of the sync function for the frequency F2 should be located in such a position where the first sync pulse is having a 0 crossing at that location. That means I should have the second sync function peak being located at such position where its peak should correspond to the previous sync function's 0 crossing. So see here, wherever the first sync pulse is going to 0, there I should have the pulse peak coming in for the frequency F2. So by doing so, by placing the sync or the tone, the frequencies of the FSK, we call them as tones, I should be able to place it in such a way that the peak corresponding to the 0 crossing of the previous symbol. When I do so, I can easily identify the symbols individually. That means the frequency F1 will be independent of the frequency occurrence of the frequency F2. So this is the minimum criteria that I require in order to choose the frequencies F1 and F2. And this separation, if you look at the position of the first side lobe of the first 0 crossover of the first sync pulse, it will be, the difference would be, if you take these two difference, it will be equal to a value 1 by t. It will be equal to a value 1 by t, and this 1 by t is called as minimum tone spacing. We call this as minimum tone spacing. Tone means frequency. The minimum tone frequencies for orthogonal phase shift keying. There is non-orthogonal FSK also. Therefore, there is a specification when I say the statement. Please make a note of this. The minimum difference between F1 and F2 that we are choosing is equal to 1 by t, which is going to maintain the orthogonality between the chosen frequencies F1 and F2, and the minimum spacing is equal to 1 by t. Why we call it as minimum? We will have one derivation that we shall see now. After this, you will know why it is called as minimum. Just in a few seconds you will see. Okay? I hope this is understood why it is necessary. What will happen if these two sync pulses will overlap means, the peak, let's suppose this peak will lie somewhere over here. In that case, you will start confusing whether the received signal is corresponding to symbol S1 or S2. We will be in the ambiguous state to say whether the received signal is the signal F1 or frequency F2. So therefore, to avoid that confusion, we are going to place the peak at the 0 crossing of the previous symbol. So this is how we are going to represent the orthogonal FSK in frequency domain. So now, if we talk about the bandwidth requirement, the minimum bandwidth that is required in order to transmit one such signal, one such FSK symbol is, we call it as signaling bandwidth. Signaling bandwidth of orthogonal FSK in a non-coherent manner. In a non-coherent scenario, the minimum bandwidth requirement is the minimum separation, that is 1 by t plus I will take half a duration. This pulse should cover, this side pulse should also cover for half a duration, which is 1 over 2t on either side. For f1 also I need to take another half, for f2 also I need to take another half, plus 1 by 2 t, which will be equal to 2 by t. This is for a case where m is equal to 2. Like that, if I have m such fs case, let's suppose I have the third symbol, so it will have a impulse like this. Okay, now it is 0 crossing is here, so 0 crossing, at the 0 crossing you can find the center of the third pulse, so you can see it will overlap here. Okay, so like this the frequencies will be placed, so this will be f3. When I have MFSK, the signaling bandwidth in general, the signaling bandwidth required for transmission of MFSK signal, it is given by the statement, but it is given by a value m by t. How it is m by t? This is 1 by t plus 1 by t, which is 2 by t. I take half on this side, I take half on this side. So totally it is m by t. So there will be 3t in this case. Like that, if I have 4 such pulses, it will be 3 by t, 3 by t into 1 by 2t and 1 by 2t on the other side. So it will be 4 by t. So if I have m such symbols, I will require the signaling bandwidth as m by t totally in order to transmit the FSK information. I hope till here you are okay, fine. Do you have any doubts so far?
No, ma'am.
No, okay. Shall we proceed on with the derivation for the minimum tone spacing? This will be the last topic in your unit 1. That is the derivation of minimum tone separation between the two FSK symbols, and for them to be orthogonal to each other, what should be the minimum tone separation that we are trying to prove. So with this last topic we will finish off with the first unit. So please be prepared for anything and everything in the coming week, that is quiz, or randomly I might ask you to do the assignment in the class itself. You need to submit it within the class hours. So please be prepared for anything. You can expect the unexpected stuff. Okay. So what we are going to do is, I am going to consider two waveforms, one with the frequency 2 pi f1 t with some phase called as phi. Okay, and I consider another frequency for FSK with the frequency.
Write down.
Yes. Any doubts?
Write down.
Yeah, I have just taken the two cosine functions, one with the cos 2 pi f1t, cos 2 pi f1t plus phi, and the second function is cos 2 pi f2t. I have assumed one of the carrier with 0 phase, the other one with the phase, some initial phase called phi, and I assume that these two will be used for FSK and frequency f1 is greater than f2. This is my assumption. The minimum symbol rate that I am using is the symbol rate that is used to transfer is 1 by t. I am using this as the symbol rate, where t is the symbol duration, and phi can take any value between 0 to 2 pi. So phi can take any value between 0 to 2 pi. Now what we need to do is prove that, I am going to prove that, or it is required to prove that minimum tone spacing for minimum tone spacing for non-coherently detected FSK, non-coherently detected orthogonal FSK signaling. Orthogonal FSK signaling is 1 by T. 1 by capital T. So we are going to prove this statement. So I hope you still remember the condition where I am checking the orthogonality. When we discussed about basis function, we had come across this. I hope you still remember this. Xi I or Xi j into Xi k integrated over a period 0 to t, you end up in a k into or kj into delta ij. Let me write it as I and j so that, okay, and this is when I is equal to j and 0 when I is not equal to j, which means when those two are of different frequencies, if the resultant is 0, then we say it as orthogonal basis functions. Then like this we are going to assign or say that xi1 and xi j or xi I or xi j are orthogonal to each other. So using the same analogy, since we are checking for the orthogonality, we are going to find out the integration. I'll start it from this side. I'll make it into two parts. So I'll divide it over here. Integration over a period 0 to t cos 2 pi f1 t in plus phi cos 2 pi f2 t dt should be equal to 0 for them to be orthogonal to each other. So this is the requirement of orthogonality. Now we shall split this of the form cos of a plus b. Let us split this. So by splitting, so I am going to obtain cos phi, it's a constant, so I can bring it outside the integration, cos 2 pi f1 t multiplied by cos 2 pi f2 t into dt. Another set is cos a plus b is what? Cos a cos b minus sin a sin b. So in cos a cos b, when I find out the cosine term, first term will multiply with the second cos 2 pi f2 t and you will get multiplied by dt, and the second portion is minus sin phi integration from 0 to t sin 2 pi f1 t into cos 2 pi f2 t dt. This should be equal to 0, right? Now if you look at the integral for integrand here, it is cos a into cos b, this is sin a into sin b. So let us represent the cos a into cos b into its equivalent representation. So this can be written as cos phi integration over a period 0 to t. You will get cos a into cos b is what? Cos a into cos b is what? If you tell me, I am going to write cos 2 pi into, I am writing in terms of like this, cos of a plus b plus of cos 2 pi a minus b, entire thing will be divided by 2, that will be there, but when you multiply it with the 0, you will get, it will get multiplied with 0 and it will vanish, minus the second term sin phi integral over a period 0 to t, sin a into cos b is sin of a plus b, sin of a plus b plus sin of a minus b. With using simple trigonometric identity, I can write this things. Okay, the rest is only the integration part. Let us integrate it. Cos phi will remain as is 0 to t 0 to t. If you integrate cos, what do I get? Sine. Shall we do the integration directly? Okay. I can write it like this. Sine 2 pi f1t into f2t multiplied by t divided by 2 pi f1 plus f2 plus of sine 2 pi f1 minus f2 into t divided by 2 pi into f1 minus f2 with the limits 0 to t, 0 to capital T. Sorry, I don't know whether you can see the second term. I'll write it below. Plus sine 2 pi f1 minus f2 into t divided by 2 pi f1 minus f2 with the limits 0 to t. Then the second term is there. Please, this plus is within the bracket. Don't think it is outside the bracket. It is within the square bracket. Let me write it like this so that it will not confuse. Then the second term is minus sine phi, and integration of sine is minus cos. So I'll take the minus sign on both integrations. I'll make this as plus. So therefore you are going to get cos 2 pi f1 plus f2 into t divided by 2 pi into f1 plus f2 plus cos 2 pi f1 minus f2 into t divided by 2 pi f1 minus f2. Again, this will be integrated over the limits 0 to t. I mean, you have to apply the limits 0 to t, capital T in this case. By doing so, wherever there is 0 for sine, it will vanish. I'll write it on this side. After applying the upper and lower limits to the sine terms, sine 0 is 0 anyways. So you can simply neglect the second lower terms, that is lower limit terms. So I'll write only the upper limit terms. So it is cos phi into sine 2 pi f1 plus f2 into capital T over 2 pi into f1 plus f2. The second term would be plus, I'll erase this one also. Sine 2 pi f1 minus f2 into capital T over 2 pi into f1 minus f2. So this is the first term that I am going to get. Then plus sine phi into cos 2 pi f1 plus f2 into capital T, which is the upper limit. If you see here, if you observe here carefully, cos 0 will not be equal to 0. Therefore, the cos 0 term will be remaining as 1. So in the numerator you will have minus 1, an extra term due to the lower limit. The second term would be cos 2 pi into f1 minus f2 into capital T minus 1 over 2 pi into f1 minus f2. And this entire thing should be equal to 0. This is the requirement for the orthogonality. To check the orthogonality, I need this. Now we had made one assumption right at the beginning that f1 is greater than f2. When you add f2 on both the sides, or if I take the combination f1 plus f2, they will be far greater than 0. Therefore, wherever you have sine 2 pi f1 plus f2 into capital T over 2 pi f1 plus f2, it will be approximately equal to cos 2 pi f1 plus f2 into t over 2 pi into f1 plus f2, and they will be equal to 0, approximately equal to 0. How I am obtaining this is by applying L'Hospital's rule. I mean it will be equal to 0 because I want them to be f1 plus f2 is far greater. If you apply the L'Hospital's rule, either they will be equal to, they will always be, this will give you a significant value. Any frequency multiplied by a 2 pi with sign, you get a 0. Here also you get a 0 in both the cases. So therefore this will further reduce, this will help me in reducing to the minimal terms called as cos phi. Only I will be left out with the term which is sin 2 pi f1 minus f2 into capital T plus sin phi into cos 2 pi, I'll write it below, sin phi into cos 2 pi f1 minus f2 t, f2 into t minus 1, entire thing divided by 2 pi f1 minus f2, when you cross multiply it will be equal to 0. So you can directly do this. This term can be equal to 0 only when the condition is that, because there is 1 over here, I don't know whether you can see, yes, this equation will tend to 0 only in two scenarios, either 2 pi f1 minus f2 into capital T should be equal to 0, or because this is a random term, these two cannot be equal to 0. I cannot assure that cos phi or sin phi is going to go to 0. I can only say that these two can go to 0. One possibility is sin 2 pi into f1 minus f2 can go to 0, or cos 2 pi f1 minus f2 into t can be equal to 1. In that case, in both these cases, it can go to 0. So when the sign can go to 0, any sin x will get a value equal to 0 when x is an integer multiple of pi. Sin 0 is 0, sin 180 degree is 0, sin again 360 degree is 0. So for any integer combination of pi, for any integer multiple of pi, the sine function will yield a 0. When does the cos function will give me a 1, value equal to 1? Only when the x value is an even integer multiple of pi. That means whenever x is giving you a value of 0 or 360 or multiples of 360, you are going to get a cosine value as equal to 1. So combining these two values, combining these two scenarios, n should be equal to, or n pi must be equal to 2k pi. This is the requirement, that is n is equal to 2k. So minimum requirement is n should be equal to 2k. So let us consider this, that is 2 pi, what is the condition that I am going to get? It is 2 pi into f1 minus f2 into t should be at least equal to 2k into pi. This is the requirement. Let me write it here below. I will erase this part. I will erase this part. So the condition is n should be equal to 2k. That means the argument 2 pi into f1 minus f2 into t should be equal to 2k pi. So you can see that there is 2, there is pi, there is 2, there is pi, I can cancel it out. So f1 minus f2 should be equal to k by t, that is integer multiple of 1 by t, where 1 by t is the symbol rate. 1 by t is the symbol rate because t is the symbol duration. This is the tone spacing. We just call this as, this condition as just tone spacing for orthogonal FSK. For OFSK, if I am considering the minimum value out of this, so minimum tone spacing is, minimum tone spacing I obtain when k is equal to 1. When k is equal to 1, so therefore f1 minus f2 will take a value equal to 1 by t. So this is the minimum tone spacing between the two frequencies to say that particular frequencies are orthogonal to each other. Now I will take the same example where F1 I consider it to be 11,000 hertz. The previous case I took one example now, 10,000 and 11,000. So in this case I have always considered F1 as a greater frequency. So I have taken greater frequency and assigned it to F1. And the second one is 10,000 hertz. I can say that these two are corresponding to an orthogonal set of frequencies for FSK. When you observe here, these two difference, if you take it, you will get 1 kilohertz. If this is equal to 1 by t exactly, if I am transmitting the signal at 1 millisecond, if my symbol duration of 1 is 1 millisecond, if capital T is equal to 1 millisecond, what is its inverse? What is its inverse? 1 over 10 raised to minus 3. What do I get? What is this value?
1k.
This is 1k. So these two will become equal. Then I can say that these two frequencies are orthogonal to each other. When is the case that the t should be equal to 1 millisecond, or I should be having this as the scenario 1 millisecond, or if I have the symbol rate, let's suppose I have 1 microsecond as one symbol duration. That means I am transmitting 1 mega symbols per second. Will that satisfy this criteria? Will that make these two frequencies orthogonal? No, never. You just check it over there. I don't know F1 and I know F1 and F2, but the difference between F1 minus F2 should be 1 over t, where I have taken t as 1 microsecond. So this is 1 mega hertz. These two frequencies, when you take the difference, will it be equal to 1 mega? No, it is not equal to 1 mega. Therefore, I cannot call F1 and F2 as orthogonal to each other for the case where the symbol duration is 1 microsecond. So, you can also say that it is a direct relation that F1 minus F2 should always be equal to the symbol rate. Should always be equal to the symbol rate. If this is not getting satisfied, then there is no way in which I can say that the two frequencies that you are choosing are orthogonal to each other. So this is it with respect to the orthogonality of frequency shift keying carriers. With this, we are done with the first unit of your digital communication and coding theory. If you have any doubts till here, you can ask. If you have any other doubts regarding any other thing, that also you can ask. Yes, any doubts? So I am going to stop it over here. Fine. The first part I have not recorded, I am sorry.